If the sky turns black, it don't matter. We know that the sun is coming up. Feel so strong, it won't shatter. We were born to run.
Sky turn black, it won't matter. Feel so strong, won't shatter. We were born to run. We were born to run. Sky turn black, won't matter. Feel so strong, won't shatter. We were born to run. We were born to run.
Up everybody, we're back here again on the channel, and we're here with a very special guest for the first ever episode of JetsBeat. We're going to be making weekly videos with my man JetsCentral right here. He's got his own YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe to him. His name is in the comment section below. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get right to it with the first ever video. Kansas City hosting the Chiefs in one of the biggest AFC games, if not the NFL games, this weekend. 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, kickoff on CBS. What is your take on this game? What is your prediction on this game? And what is some matchups to watch?
You know, I think this is, like you said, it's definitely going to be one of the biggest AFC games this week and, you know, in the season, really. Both playoff contenders, both very talented teams. So, you know, I'm actually really surprised that it's not hyped up. I really thought this game was going to be prime time. I really did. But it is what it is. I honestly, the Jets are underdogs in this game, but I like the Jets. And, you know, I really do. I just feel like personnel standpoint, I just think they match up in the Jets' favor. You know, you look at what has hurt the Jets defensively this season. Deep balls, blown plays. You know, you go back to Thursday Night Football, Tyrod Taylor, Marquise Goodwin. You know, he's just chucking deep balls and keeping plays alive. Alex Smith is known for not. He doesn't like to throw it deep. He doesn't like throwing the deep ball. They don't really set up plays for him to throw up the deep ball. Mm-hmm. So I really think that the Jets secondary is going to benefit in this game. A lot of short underneath passes and whatnot. I will say this: Travis Kelce is a beast. You know, we definitely have to keep him. We definitely have to lock in on Kelce. He's, you know, in my opinion, a top 5 tight end in the NFL. So, you know, you can't just, like, let that, you know, slip out of your mind. So definitely, you know, Gilchrist and Fryer have to keep this guy on lockdown. Because, you know, Kansas City, to me, they are the favorite to win the AFC West. They, you know, you look at the team, they have a great secondary. Obviously great running backs. Alex Smith, he's a good quarterback. Jeremy Maclin is good, but they're not really that much of a throwing team. You know, so this Chiefs team, you can't take them lightly. You really can't. And I actually read something the other day where the Chiefs haven't really seen that much of 4 receiver sets. The Jets have ran the most 4 receiver sets in the NFL. Yeah. You know, out of every team, and I think that's really going to pay dividends in this game. I really think that the Shane Gailey and the Jets are going to spread it out. You know, 2 over there, with a running back in the backfield, and they're really just going to make Kansas City spread out, and I just think that the Chiefs are going to have a really hard time trying to find ways to stop the Jets' offense. I think the offense is going to be the key or the X factor in this game. I won't get to my score prediction yet. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
So, real quick, what were your 3 matchups to watch again?
Forgot about that part. The 3 matchups I want to see. Well, number 1 going into it was Brandon Marshall versus Marcus Peters.
Oh yeah.
You know, a top 10 wide receiver going up against a stud cornerback who is definitely up and coming. He played man and zone. But then I found out actually before this video that Brandon Marshall is doubtful or questionable for this game. So you know, it's going to be tough if Brandon Marshall goes down. But so I'll leave it at this. I'll leave it at Marcus Peters going up against the Jets' number 1 wide receiver, whether it be Marshall or Decker, because, you know, both are beasts. Whether it be Yeah, whether it be Marshall or Decker, going up against Marcus Peters, and he's, like I said, a young corner coming up in the game. That's key number one, or matchup number one. Matchup number two is the Jets defensive line going up against the Chiefs offensive line. I think, Alex Smith is a mobile guy. We showed that we could get after the quarterback in the Bengal game, but when it came to a mobile quarterback like Tyrod Taylor, we couldn't get after him. I mean, he just kept extending plays, beat us with the deep ball. I really am anxious to see, how good the Jets defensive line is against this Chiefs offensive line, because if we can win the game in the trenches, I think we could, win the game as a whole. So that's key number two. And then key number three, I didn't really think about too much. He really wants to say Revis versus Macklin, but I think I'm going to go with the Jets safeties going up against Travis Kelce. Like I said before earlier in the video, that Kelce, to me, if I was in charge and I was running the Chiefs, I would target Kelce. He'd be my number one target in this offense. Just, he could catch, not catch, obviously he could catch, but he could catch the deep ball, he could catch short, intermediate routes. He can do it all. He could block too. The guy's a beast, and you can't take him lightly. So those are my three keys. Jets defensive line versus the Chiefs offensive line. The Jets safeties going up against Kelce. And then the Jets number one wide receiver going up against Marcus Peters. What are your three?
Well, I'm going to start with my three players,
Right.
I guess, matchups to watch this game. First, I'm going to go with something similar to what you said. I'm going to go with the Jets defensive line and their front seven as a whole against Alex Smith. I think that's going to be key to the victory. The only reason that the Bills were able to generate most of their scores were from rollouts, throwing the ball deep, or Tyrod avoiding the pressure with his legs. If the Jets can get to Alex Smith before he even begins to scramble or roll out, or while he's scrambling and rolling out anyway, if they can get to him and apply that pressure early in the game and throughout the game, this is going to be it's going to be very hard for the Chiefs to get anything going offensively, because the Jets match up well against almost any player, any receivers, any tight ends in the NFL when they're clicking, when they're not forced to make those extra breaks and stuff like that. So the Jets defensive line, it's key for them to get to Alex Smith early and often in the game. My second matchup to watch would be probably the Jets secondary as a whole against the Chiefs receivers, which kind of connects back to Alex Smith. If the ball goes deep again and the Jets are able to intercept it this time, maybe grab a few early picks, or throughout the game grab a few picks, this will be huge for the Jets secondary, because that's been their kind of their gaping hole in this defense over the first two games. Is their secondary with miscommunications, and not just Revis, but miscommunications as a whole. Revis gets back to his game. Screen, Williams, Pryor, if they can all play at 100%, man, I like the chances of winning this ball game. A third one matchup to watch would probably be probably the Jets receiving core. They had one of the record performances on Thursday night against Buffalo, all over the place. Two receivers with 100-plus yards and one with 92 yards or 96. They did really well spreading the ball out on the offensive side. I think that's been one of the Chiefs' weakness, is covering that, the ball going all over the place. Credit to Marcus Peters. He can move. He's one of the fastest corners. So I guess the Jets receiving core against the corners and the safeties and the secondary as a whole of the Chiefs. Those are my three matchups to watch. As far as the game preview goes, it's in Arrowhead. It's on the road. It's AFC. Both of these teams will probably make the playoffs later on in the year. So this game is crucial, man. If it comes down to, both teams are 10-6 or both teams are 9-7, that tiebreaker win is so important, man. Later on down the road, it pays dividends, to where you don't have to win or you can rest your starters. It's huge. It's a very huge game. It's going to be noisy in Arrowhead. Kickoffs at 4:30. It's going to be loud. They're going to sell. It's probably going to be sold out. A lot of people there in red all over the place. The Jets have got to find a way to shut out the noise. The Chiefs have got to find a way to get their running game going, whether or not Jamal Charles plays. That's kind of, and then in the trenches, like you said, offensive line against the defensive line. It's going to be huge in this game. but I think the Jets are able to, expand their offense again. Matt Forte is able to get going really well, and the Jets secondary pays itself off finally with a good game and 2 picks. You can keep that number and write that down in the books. 2 picks the Jets are getting against Alex Smith. And the Jets win it 23 to 21. Tight game. Very tight game.
Damn, yeah, that is tight. That's tight. I'd have to say my final score prediction for this game, it's going to be low scoring.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 20-16, Jets coming out on top. A lot of field goals in this game. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
a lot of TDs. Definitely a lot of field goals.
You think Folk redeems himself from the Week 1 loss?
Yeah. Man, you got to ride or die with Nick Folk. I was pissed at the special teams in the kicking game Week 1. But, he's won us games in the past where we had no business winning. And
Exactly.
he's, came through. So, I have to take that, think about that part too. So I ride or die with Nick Folk. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, big game. AFC West versus AFC East in a battle for supremacy. One team enters, or both teams enter at 1-1, and one team leaves at 1-2. One leaves at 2-1. Jets Chiefs this Sunday, 4:30 Eastern Time, CBS. One of the best games to watch this week. Take it easy. Thank you for tuning in. JetsCentral, we thank you for being with us in the video. Everybody, have a good night. Go Jets.
Go.
Say it again.
Go Jets.